Hello, friends. This is Robert Paquette, and I want to welcome you to the show. It's time for a realistic change. I'm here with Jeffrey Silva, a candidate for Las Cruces School Board, District Number 4. And welcome, Jeffrey.
Welcome. Thank you, Robert. I appreciate it.
Hey, Jeffrey, everybody's been dying to find out. They've been asking and asking and asking. I know you've kind of been holding back until now to let us all know officially, why are you running for Las Cruces School Board District 4?
You know, that's a good question, Robert. And what I would say is that I really have the passion, the knowledge, and the experience to really make a realistic difference in our school board.
I believe that, Jeffrey. I've known you for a long time. You've led some incredible people through some incredible missions here in Las Cruces, and every one of them has been successful. And so that's why I'm behind you in running for school board. Jeffrey, I put some books on the table here. Can you guess why I put these here?
For me to read?
No. Jeffrey, I put these books here because just like books, we need to open them up and we need to read through them from beginning to end and understand what's on the outside and the inside. It's called being transparent. And so, Jeffrey, I know that's one of the issues that touches your heart about the Las Cruces school system and Las Cruces. So explain to us what it means to you to be transparent and why you think we need to be transparent.
You know, that's really a good point. In my travels out in the neighborhoods and talking to parents in business areas and, you know, different schools, people feel that the school board hasn't been transparent as much as they would like it to be. I think everybody's done a great job, but I think being collaborative, working with the parents, working with the teachers, to really help benefit our kids, I think we can be a little bit more open to work together to make a difference for our kids.
I think you're absolutely right, Jeffrey. I have been hearing myself up to this point, some moms and dads all over Las Cruces talking about kind of a separate issue, and that is they feel like their voice is not heard. They're not getting traction. How do you feel about that, and what do you think you'll do about that?
You know, what I want to do, because me being a parent with a child in elementary school, I think I would like to set up kind of like a weekly podcast so that they could communicate with their school board. What I'd really love to do is have coffee with the board, you know, parents and teachers, anybody interested in the community, to really have a monthly meeting to talk about concerns, talk about issues, and collaborate, work together to help the kids in general.
You know, you're right, Jeffrey, and what I heard you say there is communication. You know, I personally feel there's been kind of a lack of communication amongst the school board, amongst themselves, and between the school board and the city. And so you, being a person, a great communicator that I know you are, I'm confident that you'll bring something to this board, to this school system, that probably we haven't had before as much of. I'm not saying that we haven't had it, but as much of. And I'm really excited to see you take that position in District 4, of course, if you win the votes. You know, I want to bring up something else here. Let me pull this up here, right here. Jeffrey, why am I pulling this backpack up here? Do you know?
No, I don't. That's a good question, Robert. Why do you have this backpack out here?
It's a great mystery, okay? The reason why I have this backpack right here is because this was left, not really, but it was left by a poor little kid who was running away from bullies. He has all of his lunch in here. He has his lunch money. He's got his books. This isn't actually a real backpack from a victim of a bully, but it represents many backpacks that have been thrown aside from kids running from bullies all over the Las Cruces public school system. So, Jeffrey, this is something that also touches your heart. And tell us a little bit about
You know, it does. It's a real problem. It truly is. People that have not experienced may not know, but it does exist. Part of what I would like to see is talking to parents, talking to people out there in the community. They feel that the district doesn't have a consistent policy against bullying. Mm-hmm. I know that I've talked to a few friends that have been impacted by bullying. I can tell you that my son has been impacted recently with bullying as well, and I almost felt that it was his fault, and I kind of had to justify why the school needs to act.
Right.
And, you know, many of us think that bullying may be from student to student. Bullying could happen from coach to student, from teacher to student. I'm not saying that it's occurring, but it could. So
Right.
it's close to my heart.
So how about these reports we keep hearing about parents saying that they've tried to report bullying from their children, and they just feel like it goes on deaf ears? How can we change that? How can we address that?
You know, the board should understand and hear these type of things and kind of collaborate with the principals and the parents to make sure that they're not falling on deaf ears. I mean, that's really something that's really important that we need to address so that we kind of nip it in the bud.
Right, you're right. I want to go back real quick to the policies that the school has had in place, because I've lived here for 20-something years, and it seems every year there's stories of parents that are talking about how they can't, like we just talked about, getting traction, reporting bullying with their kids. A lot of serious things are happening with bullying. They're not being heard, and no one's looking at the policies and procedures. What do you think it's going to take to make those kind of changes? I mean, really, honestly.
You know, I think that needs to be a parent peer group. I really think that it needs to be a possible think tank, you know, put together a think tank that we can all work together. Make it important enough to have these type of conversations.
Right. Absolutely. I think you're absolutely right. And I'm excited because, we need to do something about the bullying in this town. And it's a major issue, guys. And Jeffrey is right. Jeffrey, it's from kids to kids. It's from teachers to kids. It's from principals to teachers. And there's just so much bullying going on. But one of the most visible one is the children getting bullied by other bullies. And you know what? I got all this technology out here. You notice? There's my phone, and I've got my iPad. But before we move on, I want to ask you about technology, Jeffrey. I noticed you brought this picture out here, and I know who it is on there, but I want you to just tell me, why do you have this here?
You know, it's my motivation, and it has been since the day that my son was born. Many people that know me in this community and what we've established to help the community, to help children of this community, really was a promise many years ago when he was born. Zane was not born alive, and they brought him back to life at birth.
Right.
And he spent 4 months in a neo-intensive care unit where about 2.5 weeks were in critical condition, where it was touch and go. But this first night when this photo was taken, I went home and broke down and got on my knees, and I asked the Lord if He would save my son's life. I would do all that I could to help this community, and I've never stopped. Right,
you haven't, Jeff. And I've known you for a long time, even before Zane, and I know that you just almost flipped, and your time is dedicated to service in this community, and it has been for years, for years and years. I don't know another man in Las Cruces who has dedicated his heart towards the citizens and children and families of this city as much as you have. I'm sure there are other people, but I don't know anybody personally. But so thank you for that up to now.
Thank you.
But I do want to talk about technology.
Sure.
I know there's many issues in the school system here that you would like to address and bring up, but you had to bring it down to 5 issues, and so that we can talk about. That's because of time restraints. But technology in our schools. I've heard the last few years some talk about technology in the schools. We need iPads, we don't need iPads, and reasons why we do and don't. I'd like to hear your point of view about technology in our schools and why you do or don't think we need it.
We definitely need it. You know, it's kind of interesting because there's more technology in this phone than there was to send the Apollo missions to the moon. So where we've come from there to here and where we will be the next 5-10 years will be amazing. And we really need to get the technology into the school because it's changing so rapidly. And many businesses are changing technology as fast. I mean, Take the banking industry, for example. Many people don't walk into a bank. They use their phone, they use their iPad, they use their laptops.
Right.
And same thing with the workforce. Technology is taking over. I saw a robot in Walmart the other day. So technology is changing, and we need to have our kids up to speed with that technology.
We had a conversation just a little bit ago about technology, and you pointed out to me how that if we don't reach our students now with the technology, by the time they enter the workforce, as you mentioned before, whether it's robotics, which is prevalent in the world today, or any other type of technology situation, they'll hardly be able to use their own phones or iPads. And how sad is that? I mean, you really expressed some concern for that.
I do. I really feel that if we don't get the technology, the updated technology that is out there, they're left behind with the students that do get that technology in their hands. And we need to make those changes now.
Oh, absolutely. How do we, you mentioned also earlier to me that you think we should embrace the digital, how do we say that? Embrace the digital revolution for the future. And you've got a vision for how that would look. Tell us how that would look.
As I mentioned, things are changing so quick, and the way we do business, the way our kids play video games, they live, it's changing. Every day, it seems like things are changing faster and faster. I would love us to see not only the schools updated with new technology, but I also would love to see us communicate more between a board and the educators and the parents with technology. It's out there. Some teachers are using it for the classrooms. I would like us to be consistent across the whole district.
So let's talk a little bit about specifically some technology. We talk about iPads and we talk about iPhones, and I know that we can, as students, we like those, then we go and we start playing with those, and we really don't use them as. But what other kind of technology in the school systems, or what could we use the technology for on different applications, and kind of expound on each one a little bit? Like for example, if we supplied iPads to 8th graders, how could that make things better for those 8th graders than what they're doing now? And just for the folks that really don't understand technology that much, Jeffrey's, you've got not the expert grip, but you've got a good handle on technology and how it can be used and utilized in the school, as we've had some earlier conversations.
Yeah.
And so, just kind of share a little bit specifically on some areas that would possibly improve the students' lives.
The big thing right now is artificial intelligence. It's being used in business community, but more of the iPad and the phone, I think we can make it fun. There's so many different programs, so much research can be done through the internet, the iPad.
Absolutely.
And myself, just finishing graduate school, I used the computer to learn so much about so much research. Let's let the kids do that as well.
Right. Are you aware of any city programs like the library that checks out iPads? Because I know some other cities have those kind of programs. So outside of the school system, where else do you think in the city maybe we could just offer that kind of service? I mean, is that something viable?
I think it would be a good time to kind of embrace the business community with the actual schools. I would like to see a mentorship, an internship, where these students could experience everyday business life.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, Jeffrey, we're going to have to take a break right now. We'll be right back with some exciting information. Jeffrey's vision for District 4 and the Las Cruces School Board. I'm excited. I've talked with him extensively. We only have so much time to cover things today, but we'll be right back. Thanks for watching.
So great, you can do all these different ears to the plan.
Okay.
Nice.
Guys, not all. Horizon Granite is here. We'll come to you to customize your kitchen and bathroom with beautiful countertops and cabinets. Find out more at horizongranite.com. Call us at 575-650-3180.
Horizon Granite is here.
It's here.
Make yourself a beautiful home.
Hi, I'm Ray Bamberg with Here on Earth. I would like to invite you for a free hearing evaluation to our office. We've been here in southern New Mexico for 34 years helping people hear better.
Hey friends, welcome back to It's Time for a Realistic Change. I'm Robert Paquette and I'm with Jeffrey Silva, who's running for the Las Cruces School Board District number 4. And just before the break, we were talking about technology in our schools. Jeffrey had mentioned how it's very important, how we need that technology in our schools in order to educate our youth so that when they do enter the workforce as young men and women, they won't lack that ability and they'll have the same advantages as other folks around Las Cruces in more developed areas. And I would say more developed, Jeffrey, because Las Cruces has typically been, like people say, 10, 15 years behind the times. And so, so welcome back. And Jeffrey, I don't know if you saw this or not, but and I don't know if you guys saw this or not either, but I don't know if you ever saw this.
I saw it now.
You saw it now. I'm going to put this right here because the reason why I wanted you to, asked if you saw that is because it's interesting. I have construction tools here that are used with people's hands, like trade, right?
Yeah.
And how does trade and schools come together? Well, there's a lot to be said for the trade industry and schools. Jeffrey, we talked about it a little while ago, how the trade industry is exploding. The United States is expecting a huge, huge need for people with trade skills. And you recognize that. And that's one of your platforms you want to talk about is the workforce solution in our school system. And go ahead and explain how that would work and how that would look for you.
Yeah, and I know that it's being worked on. And what I would like to see happen is when I was growing up and I was in middle school, I ended up taking a shop class, a printing class. In high school, I ended up, taking a little bit of an auto class, but I had friends that took an auto class, and they actually went on to have successful businesses. I'm really kind of, concerned and interested at the same time that, we do have a low graduation rate. We do have a high dropout rate, not like it used to be.
Yeah.
However, I really would like to explore the ideas of giving our at-risk students an opportunity for like a trade. I mean, college may not be for everybody.
Right.
But I would love to set them up with tools, for the future.
And I know you mentioned that before, how having something to do can kind of replace that desire to go out and get into trouble and do things. So yeah, I totally agree with you, Jeffrey, on that. You also mentioned that we should consider putting those classes, wood shop, printing, automotive, the same types of things that you experienced when you were growing up. And we know that Las Cruces, that you mentioned to me earlier, has these programs in the community colleges, but we need more, right?
Yeah, we do. We need more, and we need them to come down to the junior high level, the high school level,
right.
Possibly in the elementary level as well. I mean, I can tell you, having a son that's in elementary would love to be involved with some types of things like this.
Oh yeah, all my nieces and nephews and if they came home and or came to me at Uncle Robert's house and said, "Hey, they got wood shop class," and I know they'd be just overwhelmed with excitement and joy because of that. Because kids love that. I know I did. I had wood shop. Did you guys have wood shop? I did, right? And I think it helps build character because it teaches you to work with your hands. It teaches you a sense of accomplishment. I think it's more important than just wood shop, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. something important that I really like that you said earlier, and guys, we did talk a little bit about what Jeffrey likes, and but one of the things that stood out for me was he wanted to, and he mentioned it, to consider mentorships and internships, not just with folks in the schools, but with business owners in the city, in Las Cruces, to work a collaborative effort. Tell me how that would look, and kind of expound on that, how that would look, and maybe.
Yeah, no, and it really would be by connecting the business community with the school system. A lot of businesses teach junior achievement. Wouldn't it be great to allow these businesses to teach more often, to collaborate together, to do an internship, let the kids come over, the high schools, the junior highs, and see what people do. I know for a fact if we work together as a group, this can happen. I mean, I work as the founder with Team Zane in this community, and this community has always gotten together to help different nonprofits that impact children, and we always collaborate together as a big group to make a difference in this community.
Absolutely. I've seen it work, you've seen it work, and you've led many teams to successful, just like I mentioned before, successful conclusions to projects. I'd like to just throw some stuff out here, Jeffrey, if you don't mind. I'm going to put this out. This is what is that? Wall tape, right? I'm going to put a little hammer here, right? Because because we need a lot of tools for this next thing. You probably, do you know why I'm putting all these tools out? Because this is a big project, Jeffrey. And as a matter of fact, it's not only a big project, but it's a little bit controversial. So I'm gonna just put this on right now before we talk about this, okay? Because this has to do with a faux pas, something that happened in Las Cruces, right? And really, nobody's really telling the whole story yet. Everybody's telling the whole story, and it has to do with Columbia School. And I know you've got your own opinion about some of those things. Tell me about some of the key issues, starting with cost.
Yeah, I've been out, like I said, out on the trail talking to people, and this seems to be one of the big ones as well. The cost that's involved to rebuild the school from ground up, or some people feel that maybe it should just be remodeled, mitigated and remodeled. And it truly is it's a topic that should be discussed more in details with the parents, the educators, and the community involved before a solid decision is made.
And you brought that up about being transparent, and that all comes together.
Absolutely, and I'm sure it's a concern. Some parents, sending their children to a high school, even though they're at a younger age. I think it needs a little bit more discussion. I know that's probably my counterparts that are running for the school board will have an opinion as well.
Right, and you mentioned through this whole interview, teamwork, collaboration. Tell me a little bit. One of the points you've given me was community input as part of the solution.
Absolutely.
And so, if you wouldn't mind expound on that a little bit, what does that look like? Because we don't know. We haven't really had good community input up to now. So, how possibly could that work to solve this problem?
Yeah. As I mentioned earlier, I would love to create a weekly podcast to communicate with the community, the teachers, the parents. And have like a monthly meeting, coffee with Jeffrey, to talk about things like this. Maybe there's a different idea, a different solution that is more cost effective. And I would love to hear other people's opinion.
I love it. Using technology to communicate with the community in a two-way open conversation to solve real problems.
Absolutely.
I love it. It's absolutely awesome. And another issue that you probably want to touch on is kids bust to high school because of this issue.
Yeah.
What can we do about that? And what's
it's a difficult decision. So it's something that it's going to need a little bit more research. However, we need to think out of the box of what we can do. Right. What can we do?
Exactly. Are there other options that that you haven't brought up here? You think about how we can approach it besides the standard, hey, let's all work together. I mean, what are the options that we have?
You know, I'm not sure if we've ever even looked at it. Maybe a large commercial building somewhere that could be remodeled at half the cost or a third of the cost. Look for a different area. Maybe, vacant land with portables.
Right.
You know, while we figure everything out.
And there's just so many different
There really
suggestions
is.
and solutions.
There is.
But we need to come together, I think.
Yeah.
Jeffrey, you've had a lot of great ideas here, and I appreciate you being open with me
Thank you.
and with the audience here. And you know what I'd like you to do is do me a favor, and everything that we talked about here, can you summarize it for me? Just summarize everything on why we should vote for you and what you intend to do. And obviously you shared your heart here,
Yeah.
and I appreciate that. And there's just no denying where your heart is. It's for the children of Las Cruces. So do me a favor and wrap up that conclusion.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I feel that my passion has carried us forward, and I feel that I've been through a lot of innovation that's taking place in the business world, and the experience. I currently am part of a team with a 30-year preschool that is very successful, and it's because we all work together as a team. I have many years of experience with working with the community and organizations, so I really would love an opportunity. I would feel honored to be able to represent your children, your schools, and the teachers and parents. I would just be honored.
and he's going to do the job. Thanks, guys.
This is Jeffrey Silva, and I approve this message.